Hi, I'm Kevin Hoyt, Platform Evangelist with Adobe. Today, I'd like to talk to you about RIA problems. Now, this is actually going to be an entire series of problems, and today we're going to start with virtual lists. So virtual lists, why is that a problem? Why are lists a problem? Well, if you think about the screen and what you can put on the screen, you have a limited amount of realty to work with. Now, inevitably, users want as much on that screen as they can. Let me give you an example. If you take an average screenshot of a 1024 by 768 desktop, and you peel off all the browser Chrome, all of any additional Chrome you might have on your application, or any OS Chrome like a start bar or a finder bar, to pull all of that off, and you give 22 pixels for each one of the items in your row, you end up with a total sum of 34 rows that you can actually fit on the screen at any given point in time. 34 rows. Most users will want more than 34 rows, and most applications will demand more than 34 rows. So what we as developers generally feel inclined to do is to go ahead and create a little space that we're going to use as our list. It'll have a scroll bar on it, and as the data comes in, we'll iterate over the data and create all the items in the list. No biggie, right? The problem is that as you're rendering those items, you're using up CPU and memory. More importantly is, since you can only display a maximum of 34 on the screen anyway, when you get past what you have visible on the screen in your UI, you're continuing to use processor and memory to render all of that data. And that ultimately makes your application slow. Now, a good way to solve this is with virtual lists. With a virtual list, we'll take the memory from the server and we'll leave that data in the memory of the client. Now, when that data is sitting in the client, rather than render out the whole thing, what we'll do is we'll realize how much space we have to render to begin with, render the rows for that viewable space, and then just leave the rest of the data in memory. So what happens is that as the user scrolls, data gets swapped out of memory and into the same rows, and they get reused so that we have maximum reuse of the line item renderers. And that's virtualization. Now, what that means is that you're no longer taking all the extra time to render everything below and off the screen. You're rendering just what's necessary in terms of to put together the UI, and then swapping out the data. And if you look at a Flex application as an example, when you scroll through a Flex application, either whether it be a list or data grid or whatever, these controls have virtualization. And you can see that there won't actually be smooth scrolling per se, but they'll actually jump up one at a time or jump down one at a time. And it looks like they're scrolling, but what actually is happening again is that the data from memory is getting swapped into those existing line items and reused. So that's virtualization. What that allows you to do is scale your lists to be able to display more data rapidly and be able to handle that on the client. So that's virtual lists. Now that's part one in this series. We have a lot more lined up, so check back again soon.